Okay, so first up we have celebrating our successes.
Yeah, so Nicole, are you going to introduce Tanya and the students?
Can you hear me now? Oh, good evening. My name is Nicole Odetto, and I am the principal of Healdsburg Junior High. Here we have a group of our beginning and advanced engineering students, as well with their teacher, Mrs. Tanya Boyle, and they're here to talk about their new program with you.
Okay, come over. So like she said, I'm Mrs. Boyle. I'm the new engineering teacher at the junior high. And I had one of the classes last year, and then I got to expand the program to 2 this year. And so we've been having a lot of fun. So I brought some of my students to share some of the things that we've been doing. The highlight so far this fall has been our cardboard regatta project, which we'll show you some pictures of. I'm guessing this.
And just so the board knows, we're turning the monitors on. They went to sleep.
Oh, okay. So in the past, my understanding is the program was robotics and then an electrical engineering, and I really wanted to expand that to follow the things the kids are interested in. So my advanced class, we did our cardboard boats, and then we did, we've been doing 3D printing the last few weeks. Our beginning class, that one's up now. So we're going to make some pinball machines in the spring. We're going to do some Rube Goldberg machines and integrate our Lego programming that we've been doing into that class. And then our advanced class, they really wanted to do woodworking, so we got some donations of lumber, and we're going to start doing projects. So I really take the students' interest into account when I plan the course. So this is where I think we're going. But every couple of weeks, I check in, and they get new ideas, and we adjust. So I'm trying to build a multi-layer program. Oh, okay. So, yeah, the advanced class, we did our cardboard boats. We're going to do paper roller coasters soon, and then we just did a lot of microcomputing stuff where they can integrate all of these things that they've learned, the coding and the circuits and everything into those roller coaster projects, and then they get to actually finish their year by doing something they're interested in. So my last month or two, we got 22 different things going, and believe it or not, I thrive in that environment. So we'll have a lot of fun. They get to pursue something they're passionate about and use those experiences from the last 2 years to really produce something that they're excited about. So we can look at some of the pictures. So this was cardboard construction. They were allowed to use any recycled cardboard. They each were allotted 1 roll of duct tape per team member. Yeah, they just went for it. We did a lot of prototyping ahead of time. We had marbles and folders and things that we practiced with buckets to figure out shapes and what would hold the most weight. And then they worked in pairs to construct their boats. We cleaned out a lot of cardboard. It was great. So we can keep going. Oh, there's Chase is in that one. So I guess I should introduce the kids. We have Carrie, Elias, Miguel, and Chase. And Carrie's representing our beginning class. She was at Alexander Valley, so she's a 7th grader, but she's in our beginning class, so she'll get to do advanced next year. So we were cleaning. There's a lot of material, but there's a lot of wrenches, a lot of sockets. I'm not an automotive person, but we'll figure out how to use what we can. But we've done a full inventory and figured out what we need to do the projects that kids are excited about. So there's been a lot of cleaning and organizing. This was an after-school crew that just came in to hang out and help. So it's provided some extra fun stuff to do together. There we go. That's Chase's brother. So you guys want to talk about the boats? Well, if you guys have questions for them, please, I'll encourage them to speak.
I have a question. Did they float and for how long?
Some of them did.
Come, get closer. You're okay. You guys can talk about it.
Some of the boats did, some of them didn't. Like, depends, like, what kind of boat.
So what was the structure that seemed to work the best?
The structure that seemed to work the best was, like, 2 layers of cardboard and then, like, tall walls on the side and, like, a wide base.
So we had paddles and life jackets just in case. I didn't make them make cardboard paddles. That's like a instant fail. But we did a lot of research. We watched some MIT videos, and some of our students did better than the MIT cardboard boat races that you see online. So they were successful. Anything else you want to add? They were amazing. It's not a bad way to spend an afternoon in junior high, to go to the pool, and they got to swim afterwards too. So that was a lot of fun.
If I remember correctly, Lucas, your boat made it down and back, right? Like that was one of the better ones. I distinctly remember yours did not.
I remember yours.
Chase, what did you learn about your boat construction, how you could improve it? It was narrow, right?
Yours was it was very tall and skinny. It was kind of a
Yeah.
So we had some spinning
Yeah.
where he couldn't.
And
It didn't
side
really
to
have a
side.
bow on it, and so it was kind of just a box.
It tipped over, like you just tipped, right?
I think his partner was paddling.
I might still have the video.
So the best boats had a bow so they could like break through the water, and had a wide base, 2 layers of cardboard on the bottom, and high sides. And was that because when you got in, like the water, you were like sunk down below the water line? And then did everyone just, oh, sorry. Yeah.
That was exactly like mine, but mine wasn't so wide, so it was hard for me to swim in the water. So I tilt over, because before we even touched the water, one of my side boxes already fell. So, like, I would tilt, so I wouldn't have,
Miguel had like a canoe
like,
with pontoons. So he built pontoons, but the structure holding the pontoons couldn't handle the flex when he got in the water. So we all had our money. I had my money on Miguel's. I was like, he's going to fly down there. It's going to be, and it was just so we learned something about,
So cool, you guys. And I saw the pictures too, and the pictures were amazing. It looks like so much fun. So did you just go back and forth until they sank?
Yeah, I couldn't get him out of once they started going, they would switch partners at the other end and give the other partner a chance to row, paddle if they made it. And then, they just kept going. And then we got all the floppy cardboard out of the pool. There were a couple that were kind of hard to drag out of there when they were wet. But yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for telling us about your projects.
Yeah. And then we didn't really talk about Carrie's stuff. We mostly have been doing Lego robotics to start our year as a foundation. And then we've been doing 3D printing the last couple of weeks. Today we made, they all designed a bubble wand, which seems like a simple project, but they had to successfully blow bubbles. And so I've got a fun photo. I didn't get it in there, but of a whole line of kids, they worked. So we 3D printed them, and they got to test them out to see if they worked. And then she doesn't know it, but tomorrow we're going to get into coding and video game design. So
Carrie, how'd your wand go?
it went pretty good. It at least blew bubbles.
Good. Nice.
Going back to the boat races, given what you guys learned from this experience, do you think you would change your design for the next time you guys do it? And what would you do different?
I mean, maybe I'd make mine wider so it wouldn't sink down so much, but nothing really because I made it down and back.
You see, mine was perfect, but hear me out. But I could have made the sides and back a little wider. But it was perfect though.
Chase, I will tell you, if I were betting, I was going to put my money on yours before it got in the water.
They
Yeah.
had the waterproofing. They used a lot
Yeah.
of duct tape.
I think I would have changed my boat by making it more wider and by not letting the box break before we even got into the water. That was once I touched the water and tried to get in, it was too small. Like I thought it would float due to I put already 2 cardboards, and like I would think the water would cut since it was like this, not like flat. But my box broke, so I sank. Yeah.
He also had a soccer game that day, so he was like rushed to get in the
Yeah,
pool
it was
to
the
go
first
back to
one.
school to make it to his soccer game.
But thank you guys.
Thank you. Well, good job, you guys, and thank you, Ms. Boyle, for all you're doing.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming tonight. Do we have any public comment on non-agenda items?
We do not.
Great. All right. Moving on to the consent agenda. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Aye.
It's next. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Do we have any public comment on agenda items?
Not until it's passed. Oh, no.
Do we have any public comments on agenda items?
We do not.
Okay, great. All right, so we're swearing in our new Healdsburg High School student trustee tonight. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
My name's Thomas Peterson. I am a senior at Healdsburg High School. My sister, Annie Peterson, was a student trustee 2 years ago, I believe. We're both heavily involved in FFA. I've learned a lot from her, and so I hope to do at least half as good a job as she did.
And he is sporting his FFA tie tonight.
And
yeah,
the old style FFA.
Yeah. Fresh back from speaking competition today.
Yes.
So. All right. So, Thomas, you're going to come up front, and you'll be sworn in. Congratulations, Thomas. Now, if I remember, you play baseball and you're in FFA. Do you have any other sports?
I do not have any other sports.
So there may be some meetings you miss as a result, but we won't hold it against you. Yeah.
Right. And I do apologize. I was supposed to make last meeting, but I had a board of review for my Eagle Scout. So that.
Oh, congratulations.
How'd that go?
I am now an Eagle Scout.
Nice. Congrats.
Yay, that's
awesome.
great.
It went well.
Okay, well, welcome. Okay, we've got student board member motions, resolution number 2408.
So the student board member by bylaw has the right to vote, and also if the board votes this in by resolution, he has the ability to also make motions and be recorded in the agenda as such. So.
Okay, great. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution 2408?
So moved.
And a second?
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't look at him. He can't do it yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then this is a resolution, so it's a roll call, right?
President McAllister,
Aye.
Vice President Lopez Pardo, Trustee Lopez Jimenez, Trustee Pottenstill.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. So, Tom, you are official now. So feel free to make motions and vote.
Yeah,
So.
make motions and vote.
Yeah.
Right. And of course, your comments and questions are always welcome whenever we're having any board discussion. Please just feel free to add or ask whatever you want.
And there's no such thing as a bad question, so don't be shy.
Yeah, we ask plenty of bad questions. So. Okay, so we're moving on to the Healdsburg Elementary School Plan for Student Achievement.
Hello, Tiffany Doherty, principal at HES, TK through second grade, and my colleague.
Hi, Erica McGuire, principal at Fish Mountain Campus.
So tonight we're going to talk to you a little bit about our plan for improvement. And first of all, it's important to know that this plan is in its third year of a 3-year cycle because it does follow the LCAP. So the LCAP is in the third year of the 3-year cycle. And so we didn't make any really significant changes. We did add some things that we're currently working on. We didn't make any significant changes because the LCAP itself has been the same for several years as well. And I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the first goal, and that is through rigorous instruction. Oh, thank you. Through rigorous instruction in grades TK through 5, 20% of English learner students in K through 2nd and 30% of English learner students in 3 through 5 will be redesignated in the 2023-2024 school year. So this is a pretty lofty goal. It's certainly well above what the state averages are. I'm excited to let you know that last year we did have in our TK through 2nd grade, although TK can't actually redesignate, so kindergarten through 2nd grade, we had 14% of our students qualify for redesignation. 20% was met in the kindergarten grade level and in the 2nd grade level. So we did meet that 20% in those grade levels. And then at 3rd through 5th grade, it was 37%. So we're really proud of the redesignation rates of our students from last year. And so we wanted to continue this goal. We did have a discussion with our staff members about possibly increasing the goal, particularly at 3rd through 5th grade, where it's at 30% and they made 37%. However, we decided that it was already so far above what other schools and places in the state are accomplishing that we wanted to keep it at 30% so that we felt like we were really making good progress. So I'm trying to remember which specific strategies we added on this one. Do you remember? Can you point me out? Oh, yes. So thank you. So some of the strategies underneath are the same. However, we are adding interim assessments for the English learners at the end of T1 and T2 at the 1st and 2nd grade. We're not going to do it at kindergarten because it's just a lot of assessment for our 5-year-olds, but we are going to 1st and 2nd grade, and they're gearing up to take care of that first one. They're getting excited, looking at what the assessment's going to look like and getting ready to use it in their classrooms. And I think before I go on, I'll just ask if there are any questions about Goal 1.
I just have a quick question just to compare with the less successful. Is there an average statewide, or in Sonoma County, you were saying that we're above that percentage?
The average statewide, according to something that I read today, was right around 15 to 16% of students redesignate each year.
For an entire district?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know exactly what it is for K2 or for 3 through 5.
Okay.
Any other questions about Goal 1? Great. Turning it over to my colleague.
Can I actually just make a mathematical point? If at Fish Mountain they are able to do between 33 and 37% of all ELs every year, it's 100% in a 3-year cycle while the kids are at the school, right? So it's an extremely high level and quite an accomplishment. So.
With that being said, to get to 0 is not what we're aiming for because, it would be fantastic, but you have to take into account students with learning disabilities and, so like newcomers, so the 6 students that we sent to 6th grade last year who were not redesignated, there's a story behind each of those students and we know those stories and we pass them on to the junior high. So while we want to redesignate as many students as possible and get students to grade level in general, there are some other factors. So
yeah,
just
and
the
37% won't happen every year because
No,
it adds up
right.
to more than 100 eventually.
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yeah. But we are very proud, and we do think the interim assessments have made a big difference, which is why the TK, or the first and second grade, is doing that. Just in terms of looking at that data and then planning instruction. Okay. So our second goal, what is it called? The point of this goal is the same as it was, but we've reworded it, and you're using a different measurement because we realized the way we did it last year, it was really hard to find that data. So basically, it's that students will demonstrate growth in reading and math, and we're going to look at the 40th percentiles, what is considered proficient in STAR. And so we want the number of students who are in the 40th percentile to increase by 25 percentage points from fall to spring. And last year, if you looked at last year's goal, it was related to the student growth percentile, and it was just really, again, the crux of the goal is the same. We want students to show growth from wherever they are, but this is a number that we use a lot. We want students to be in the green. The green is the 40th percentile, so we want the number of students to increase by 25 percentage points. So there's some big things happening in this category, goals that we've added. We adopted Step Up to Writing as our writing curriculum. Last year, we got access to it, but we really implemented it this year. Teachers spent time looking at it and developing their scope and sequence of writing, which plays a big part in reading and literacy. Math, too. There's so much reading and writing in math, too. And then a big goal of the district, MTSS, and we have every campus has the MTSS site leadership team engaging and understanding last year the 4-step problem solving process, and now we're bringing that to our campuses. And it's about looking at data and developing a goal or goals, hypotheses and then goals around how to work on that data, whatever the problem is that is identified. I think those are the main two things I will talk about. Are there any questions?
Of course, I have one. So how many now are at or above the 40th percentile?
I'm glad you asked that question because I failed to give you the data from last year. So last year, and I can't cite every grade level off the top of my head, but I know like in math, 2nd through 5th grade, 80%? It was second or first? Okay, so 1st through 5th grade in math, we had 80% of our students in reaching proficiency by the end of the year.
Wow.
Which is the highest it's ever been. Looking at my data over the years, we have never reached 80% reaching proficiency in math by the end of the year. So, but right now, the beginning of the year data doesn't reflect that. So, and then in language arts, it really varies from anywhere from like 50, is that what you have? Like 50% of students up to like in the 70s. It really varies more in STAR reading.
That's great.
And maybe this is a bad question, but I'm just wondering, so like obviously the expectations for the following year, if you were to sort of follow the same cohort of students, like the expectations change because the skills change to reach proficiency for the next grade level.
Right.
Is your sense that there was sort of like a big rise and then these are more incremental, like
over the course of 1 year, or
over the
year to the next?
Like from year to year.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because like if you look at like 80% of students being proficient in the spring, when they take it this year, we're not anywhere near. It's like 60% because now they're being tested on 4th grade level standards, and so the expectation is that so in a way we want to look at end of last year's data. It's like because that tells us like what they're capable of. Because now you're testing them on 4th grade standards that they haven't learned yet.
Okay.
Because the STAR test does change throughout the year, but there's still elements that like in like the second week of school they have not learned 4th grade level standards yet. If that answers.
So I'm not a big math student, but if 80% of the students are at or above the 40%, and you're going to raise it by another 25%, I'm really impressed.
Where they start at the beginning of the year. So it's from the beginning to the end.
Okay. Oh, I see. So what you're saying, so they may be at 60% maybe, but we're going to knock it up to 85%.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I gotcha.
Yes.
Thank you.
And you both feel like this way of measuring growth is the best way of measuring growth?
That's a good question. I don't feel confident saying it's the best way. We feel like this is a better and more accurate way than we did it last year.
Okay. Okay.
So, honestly, looking at STAR data, and we talk about this all the time, like, how does it correlate to CASP? It's one test, even, I don't know how long we've been using STAR. I've been using it at the elementary for 7 years, and we're still learning and trying to figure stuff out. And so we feel like it's a good measure. We feel like this is the way that we look at it when we're looking at our data. So we may as well be the way that we are measuring it publicly too.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes so much sense.
Yeah. And that's true too. Part of MTSS is that, is that 80%, you're reaching 80% of students with your tier 1, right? So 80% of students are, and so that this helps us get to that too, right? That goal.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I've had many years of STAR taking students in my home, and I know that it isn't perfect, but that there are challenges of that particular test, but that's great. I mean, this is such important data, and I love that you're working so hard to correlate it with other things and to that's awesome. Thank you.
Okay, glad she's handling the clicker. I could never make it work, right? So goal 3 is to increase family engagement as measured by the Youth Truth Family Survey as compared to the prior school year. And just taking a look at how we did last year, we did make great strides and improvement in our Youth Truth Family Survey, particularly in the area of engagement. So it is an area that we did well in last year. And when we talked to staff about it, they were like, well, we definitely want to see that again because the numbers are not where we want them to be. We want every family, we want 100% of our families to feel that they belong and are respected and are appreciated. So we really want their engagement. So it's an important piece to us. There's a few pieces on here. One thing that we're bringing back is kind of the parent nights, the math night, the literacy night. Used to have those before the big pandemic. Just saying that quietly. But we are bringing that back. And so we'll be having those sort of educational nights for families again coming up soon. And then we also wanted to add on there the Parents as Leaders, the PALS program from last year, and just make sure that that had its own little highlight. I'm working with our new parent outreach coordinator to work on bringing the new group of families, family members in who want to really help out at the school and just maybe aren't sure how. So, any questions about this area? Mike?
Yes. Well, I'm going to give you a heads up. My only question is, and you don't have to, well, if you have them, fine. Increase, what's your measurement? I mean, how do you know more parents are engaged or attending meetings or whatever?
So the Youth Truth Survey that is done in January each year actually has a specific section for engagement. And so we're using that as our measure. And so it's we're asking to increase year over year. So I'm going to have to make up numbers because I didn't write them down.
But year over year by how much?
We haven't decided that yet because last year was the first year we did it. We had an increase of about 10 percentage points in that area, but we don't know if that's typical or if we should expect more or if we should expect less.
Always expect more, but okay.
So it's, so we just want to say that it's going to improve over the prior year. And I think that once we have a real handle on how much it improves a couple of years, then we'll be ready to set a more specific number there.
Look, my point is obviously improvement is good. It's like, I'm making up a number. We're at 40% now, and our goal is to hit 65. I'm making this up, 65 this year, and then, hopefully 100% at some point. But my question always is the measurement is, the data counts, and it would be nice to know at some point where we've been, where we're going, what our goal is, and then hopefully we get them all in.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Goal 4 is about creating a sense of community at each school site by incorporating daily activities that support SEL, social emotional well-being, and classroom culture. And this we are measuring by, again, wanting a measurable piece of data. Some of this is just the feeling, right? You can feel it when you walk into a classroom, but a measurable piece of data is looking at cell web, which we began giving a couple of years ago. And we just gave it, I guess it's been a few weeks ago now, and then we'll give it in the spring. And we're looking for just an overall increase in student score from beginning of the year to the end of the year. It was interesting because we just gave it, like I said, a few weeks ago, and looking at that data, it's overall already higher than where we ended last year. CellWeb doesn't give it to us in that way because it's like not cohorted the same, like, students. But it was just interesting for me to look back at last year's data where we ended and where we began this year. We're already at a higher point, and perhaps that's the second graders that came to us. So a good job, second grade. But this is really important to us. Teachers engage in the ruler lessons with their students. We have focus on emotion vocabulary every month. Looking at also just that sense of community. This talks about community service projects. Just as an example, at FMC this year, our fifth graders are really engaging in leadership as their theme. And so doing projects on campus, we have a fifth grade student senate, but aside from that, every student has projects. We have office helpers. They help other students in ST Math at lunchtime. So again, that positive culture that is, we hope will be a data point that's measured on CellWeb, but it's also just that positive climate on our campuses. Any questions?
Okay, and for goal 5, all students have access to and participate in PBL, which is project-based learning, that is inquiry-based, aligned to grade level standards, and allows for student collaboration as measured by a TK through 5 fully aligned scope and sequence. And so this is something that, of course, we've been working with PBL for a number of years. One of the great things that we did as a strategy this past year is that some of the teachers from HES, they hadn't been in a long time to PBL World, and we took a team of 3 teachers plus myself to PBL World. It was great. It was wonderful, very inspiring, and came back with a lot of great ideas. And now what used to be called the first grade animal unit is now, I got to make sure that I say it right, is now a mimicry unit. So about the way that we can mimic things that animals or nature does in order to solve human problems. So that's what it's called. It's biomimicry, yeah. Sorry, I'm not a first grade teacher, so I just barely remembered that. And so that's pretty exciting. We're still working on PBL. We're working to get better at it every year, and the kids absolutely love working on their projects. Any questions?
PBL's great. Keep doing it. You guys are great.
Thanks. All right, that's it for HES and FMC.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Those goals are really inspiring. I just wanted to add. Really wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, good evening. Nicole Odetta, principal of HGH. I just wanted to echo what Tiffany said, that this is, again, our 3rd year of the LCAP cycle. So my goals haven't changed, and a lot of my supplemental stuff has tweaked differently based on our students and our staff over the past year, but the verbiage hasn't changed a whole lot. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how we've kind of recreated some things at our site over the past year. So our first goal is that all students progress in the ability to communicate and problem solve through mastery in literacy and mathematics. And so as there's no denominations in the goal, there are some measurable outcomes that I can talk about tonight. The very first bullet point that I want to highlight is we've made a change coming into this school year about the way that students are put into our integrated Math 1 class. And so when I came on board last year, we had 28 students in that class, and then 2 flexed out throughout the school year. It was too much of a challenge for them. This year, we currently have 34 students in the class, which is a very large class, but they're doing great. As of today, it's the end of Q1, and we have 95% of our students passing the class. So that's awesome. And they're loving it. They're having a great time in there. So that's really exciting. Something else I would like to mention is we are investing a ton of time in looking at our current curriculum and resources. So the second bullet point up there. We currently have 5 newcomer students, and so it's given our staff a chance to kind of reflect on strategies and practices and curriculum we have to support those students. And we're kind of inventorying what we need and what we don't have. So that's been a big focus of our meetings in the past month or so. Another thing that I would like to mention is monitoring the progress of our students with IEPs and 504 plans. That's something we do every year. We revisit their plans every year. But for our English learners, something that we've incorporated this year is all students take the STAR, but we have created a spreadsheet throughout our site where we're giving our newcomers a chance to take them in each test in Spanish. And that's really given our staff enlightenment to where our students are coming in at. So sometimes when we have students that don't speak the language, it's hard to know if the disconnect is the language itself or a learning challenge, or when they might have gone to school last. And so we're noticing that all of our newcomers, we have 5 of them, are scoring in the green in STAR in their home language, which is super awesome. And it's something we can work with. So something we've been working on a lot at our site there. And then let me see. I want to point out in the next slide here. Ooh. There we go. Okay, same goal, but it's continued. I have a few more things up there for you. We are making an effort to meet with every one of our English learner families this year going into the LPAC test. So before the spring, our bilingual family and student services coordinator is meeting with every family individually and talking about their pathway to reclassification. So about their individual student, which is very time consuming, but also very worthwhile to enlighten families and students about what they need to do, especially in junior high when testing isn't our favorite thing to do, talking about the importance. So that's something we're spending a lot of time on. And the last bullet, explicitly preparing for the CASP test last year, we did a fantastic job. Our teachers did all of their interim assessments. We planned our schedule so that all of our students could take their assessment within their subject-alike class, so with their math teacher or with their ELA teacher. And the data is embargoed until today, but Erin will be sharing with you next board meeting the fantastic things that we saw at our site with preliminary data. So I'm very, very happy to report that in both areas, ELA and math, we made significant growth last year. So that's really, really exciting to point out.
So you're smiling and we will be too, is that correct?
Yes, yeah. I can roughly say that in math in particular, we increased at least 10 percentage points. So that's really, really exciting. We did a fantastic job. Okay, I'm gonna jump on to goal 2. So goal 2 is learning and instruction are active, based in inquiry and relevant to student demographics and grade levels. This is huge in junior high. If students aren't interested, they are not going to, they may not engage as we want them to. So we've done a lot of work, as I said in the first bullet here, about engaging and using ELD strategies throughout all of our subject matter. We spent a good portion of our professional development day on Monday, teachers sharing strategies and talking about what's working with students, what's not. Technology, we have some huge tech gurus at our site that have great knowledge that are kind of filling our teachers in. So we've been doing a lot of cross grade level and department collaboration in the past couple of months, which is fantastic. We still maintain the 7-period day, so trying to get students in electives as much as possible, especially students that have to take a support class or a special education class or an ELD class. We're really trying to get them into an enrichment class if we can. Last year, we surveyed students to gauge their interest on electives, and it was extremely enlightening about what they're interested in. We had everything from stuff that off the wall ideas to what we were able to narrow it down to. And so this year we added quite a few new electives. So Food science is brand new. Students are loving that. Our engineering program is kind of revamped. We have added theater, which the students are also loving. They just went to the library last week to practice reading children's books, so that's exciting. So that's really demonstrating that students are interested in what they're doing at school. I want to also point out the second to last bullet is we made a big change this year, kind of a big change. We amended the Aries gradebook so it reflected a quarter system to give us some flexibility to be able to move students in and out of support classes. So just today we had the math and ELA department sit down at the end of quarter one and talk about students that are looking like they need more support and students that are rocking it and maybe don't need the support that they currently are in. So we're using a variety of measures to measure if, for example, a student can flex out of math support into a different elective. So we're looking at their current grade, teacher input, STAR scores, past CAF scores, and we're kind of cross-referencing all of them to see if we can make that change, and then the opposite way as well. So students that are showing they need a little extra help right now, and how we can recreate our master schedule to fit that in. That's pretty much it. And goal 2, any questions on goal 2? Sorry, I flew through that. Okay. All right. Goal 3, learning environments are overall school community foster equity, empathy, and engagement. This has been a focus for our site last year and this year again, making sure that our overall school community is a positive place where students want to be. We've worked really hard on that over the past year. So the first bullet point is brand new to us this year. We are engaging in MTSS framework and training, just like the district is across HUSD. And we've been spending our time inventorying our current interventions we have at our site and trying to identify gaps. And our site leadership team is working to use data as a reference point for everything we do. So we're learning how to use data constructively, and that's been super awesome around our campus. We still implement the Team HJH days, so the activities in the start of the year to kind of go over process and rules, and that's really important for our sixth graders. I was going to speak to Erica's point about the STAR scores kind of being not always super accurate. When the fifth graders left FMC, we had 5 students that were scoring in the red, meaning below grade level in their STAR test. And when we looked at our data just at the beginning of this week, we now have 22 sixth graders. So not to say they lost learning, but there's so many things going on transitioning from elementary to junior high, and so many factors to take into accountability. So the fact that they go from 1 to 2 teachers to 7 bosses in a day is enough change in one. So we spent a lot of time with our sixth graders really building that community, teaching them the processes, and then we also implemented, which is not up here, a sixth grade community building kind of parent orientation before the school year started as well. I also am happy to report that our demographics in our STEM classes look a little different this year, so that's exciting. Our historically male STEM classes, our beginning class is now half female students, which is pretty interesting, and the ethnicities are pretty balanced in both of our STEM classes and our food science classes. So all 3 of them have drastically changed over the past year. Let's see. Oops, sorry. And then, oh no, I had one. No, I didn't. Okay. The one thing I wanted to mention, which is not up there, is one new thing that's happening. A couple new things. We are still implementing the 5-star student program, which is our student incentive program to track student engagement throughout the school. We amped it up this year, and we have an incentive program that the students are going wild for. Essentially, our teachers have scanners that they scan student barcodes, which is their ID card in class, for positive reinforcement. So helping a partner, picking up garbage, answering a question, explaining their thinking. And students and teachers can scan the student's ID card. This goes into their bank of gray pup points, which we call GPPs. And every other Friday, they can spin a prize wheel to redeem some of those points and get prizes like bouncy balls and poppets and balloons and trinkets that they're absolutely loving. So that's been a huge win. Something that's relatively low cost, low maintenance, but such a huge effect. And the 7th grade or the 6th graders are eating it up. And we were hesitant and kind of wondering about our 8th grade group if they were going to be too cool and they're really not. They are lining up with all of our sixth graders to get their prizes on Fridays. And so it's just a really good, we do it at lunchtime. We play music. The leadership kids help run it. So it really helps build school culture, and everyone's excited about it. It's been a little bit of work, and the kinks we're working out, trying to figure out, just so we're equitable and consistent with giving points. And so that's been something we've been working on as a staff, but it's overall been a huge, huge, awesome thing. We had our first rally last week, and they did the prize wheel on the projector, and it was like they won the $1 billion lotto. It was insane. It was so fun. And then the very last thing I wanted to mention in this category is that we plan to launch the Safe School Ambassadors program here on our campus this school year. So, which means that we will work with Community Matters, an organization to empower student ambassadors on our campus. It's projected to be about 40 students, and we teach them and train them to be civil role models, essentially, to safely intervene when they see bullying on campus or cyberbullying or mistreatment. So we'll be getting that program up and running starting this year as well.
I'm so excited about that. Awesome.
Glad. All right. Any questions?
Thank you, Nicole.
How do you do it?
I don't know. we just go, 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 go. No, my wonderful staff, they are so open for new ideas, and they're willing to put their necks out there and try anything and everything. And they are the first ones to tell me, like, this worked great, and like this, I don't know if this is sustainable. And we are constantly going back and forth to the drawing board and figuring out what's working for our students. And it looks different than last year because our students change. And so it's just a constant, ever-changing cycle. But we're working really hard. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Figure out the clicker. I'm Francisco Manriquez, and I'm the principal at Healdsburg High School. And so today you're going to see our SIPSA presentation. The first slide here, this is just really a summary of every goal that we have. We have 3 goals, and just similar to my colleagues, they are aligned with the LCAP, so rigor, relevance, relationships. So again, this is just a summary, and I'll go into each goal in detail, although it is a summary as well compared to the actual SIPSA document. The first goal is around rigor, and really this is an academic support and intervention goal, and the goal reads to increase support and intervention for critical subgroups such as Latino, SPED, special education students, or social economically disadvantaged students, particularly in mathematics. We find that many of these students struggle historically, not just at Healdsburg High School, but also throughout the entire state. And so it's a trend that we're seeing. So on the left-hand side, what you're going to see is the improvement data. These are the metrics that we would like to look at and measure. And then on the right-hand side, these are the summary of actions. So what are we doing that speak to these metrics and the overall goal to try to move forward and improve in these areas? We will be looking at DNF rate, but in the sense that we have the early warning system that was created by John Camera, which we're very, very, very thankful to have that. Many other districts aren't even close to having something like that, so a great tool. And so we can look at that data through the early warning system every single day. And so we can see if students are not progressing or if they have a D or an F, and then providing a plan that we actually need to develop that shows interventions for those specific students in those groups. And that's something that we are currently developing, working with our math departments specifically to work on. And we had a really great conversation the other day about what types of interventions should these students get. So it's something we're still building. But we're excited to have such a great team on our math department, strong individuals, very talented, highly educated, and with lots and tons of experience. The graduation rate, we want to maintain that and continue to have a 95% or higher. Our A through G rate, 65% or higher. And then our English learner progress indicator, our goal is 55% or higher. And then for ELA and math, we would like to increase at least a 3-point increase for our SBAC scores in specific categories. So how do we do that? The plan really is to Provide supports, monitoring those Ds and Fs through the early warning system, speaking with our teachers, working with them, meeting with them, attending their meetings, their department meetings, and talking about students, going over some of these topics with them specifically, because they're really the ones on the ground and they can tell us how students are doing specifically, not just based on data and numbers, but how they see them, if they're coming in late, or if they feel like something deeper is happening. We also provide tutoring for students, and the beauty about that is our own teachers provide that tutoring on campus after school. So those opportunities are there. I always tell our students, bring the actual problem you have to the library so that you're ready to go with what you need help with, as opposed to just showing up. So a little bit of coaching, I think, goes a long way. MTSS, as you all know, it's something that the entire district's looking at and doing, and we have a great MTSS site leadership team. Our math department chair, Ms. Bernadette Calhoun, is on our team. We have an English teacher, Dennis Ojeda-Jones, he's on our team. Myself, Kim Harris, our mental health counselor, she's also on our team. Sarah Ronis, which is our special education chair and teacher, again, on our team with MTSS. So as you can see, a well-rounded team who's looking at strategies through the MTSS lens. Benchmark assessments, we really would like to look at these and they're local sort of dipsticks to see where our students are, where they're performing, and where do we go. I know we do them in English, and we like to look at STAR specifically as well, because that can tell us in which category of math do they need help in, not just here's their grade, they're not doing well. We need to dig a little deeper. The early warning system I talked about. We also have a cost team, which meets every other week. And this is another great team of individuals who we have our district psychologist on it, our director of student services is on it, myself, our assistant principal, our two counselors, our mental health specialist, and our behavioral specialist. And we meet every other week and talk about students that need higher levels of support. Again, going back to MTSS, levels 2s, levels 3, and making these referrals. So we have sort of a pattern of great teams, I feel, on campus, working to support all students. And I really do feel that they go home thinking about these students every day, just like I do. Support services against tutoring, intervention classes, our paraprofessionals helping our students alongside with teachers, so being a second adult in that classroom, in classrooms for students who need special services. They always do a great job. We have another good team of paras on site, and I've had the pleasure of working with them for the last 2 years, and they're really good at what they do. They care a lot. They also translate in our IEP meetings sometimes, so there's a connection with parents there. And then a English language development program that we have on campus. Our teacher, Dr. Perez, he is teaching our ELD program and our ELD students, and he's great to have. I mean, a lot of his research was in ELD, and I believe his wife works for the state of California with LPAC. So again, more resources, more teams to have on site. And then RFED monitoring, we are monitoring our students who have reclassified. So we're not forgetting about them. We're seeing how they're performing even after they've been reclassified, and our support staff help with that. And so we identify those students and see how they're doing, check in with them during the progress reporting period. And now that we have the early warning system, we can actually filter by any student who has been reclassified or is an English language learner currently, which again, just thank you, John Kammer. This is our second goal, and it's around relevance. And the goal is to continue to monitor and promote advanced placement, career, technical education pathways, and A through G completion to prepare students for college and careers. So on the left, again, you'll see the improvement data. These are the metrics that we need to look at. You know, how are we doing? How much do we want to improve by? And then on the right, you're going to have the summary of actions. You know, what are your steps that you're taking to actually meet these goals? Again, A through G rate, we would love to have a 65% or higher. CTE, 33% or higher. AP exams, in the year 2022, we had 22% of our students score at least a 3 or higher. And so we would like to continue that and increase in that area. but we're also going to be monitoring who's taking these tests, how are students getting into these classes, and continuing to message to all families, if a student needs to be challenged and wants to be challenged, we should encourage them to take these courses, because it's really going to prepare them for the next level. Whether it's college or career, it's getting prepared for that next stage of their lives. And really, the research around AP shows that it doesn't matter what score you get on the test. It matters that you participated and were around those groups. And going back to my experience in taking my first AP test, I was just in awe around the people that I was surrounded by. And I've had a feeling of like, I think I'm in the right place. I think I'm going in the right direction. So to me, it was just kind of verification that I was doing the right things, taking the right classes. Regardless of score. It's just a feeling I got just showing up, getting ready for that test. But more practice with high-stakes testing is important. For the CO by literacy, I believe we're actually #1 in the county for this. So we do a really, really great job, and we'll continue to offer a robust Spanish program here at the high school. We currently offer Spanish 1, 2, 3, and 4 honors, which is new this year, and also AP. So that's going to promote also that goal of trying to get 22% or higher. We've also provided training for our teachers who are new to teaching AP courses. So they've received training over the summers to prepare our students so that we can continue to meet these goals. This is goal 3, and it's around relationships, students, staff, and families. And so the goal reads, all students and families are well supported, their voice is valued, and our learning environments foster equity, empathy, and engagement through listening, trust, and respect. And again, on the left, you have the metrics that we're going to be using to measure. These metrics come from the Youth Truth Survey, and this goes out every year. And these are the 3 questions that we would like to focus around. So we would like to see at least a 3 to 5% increase in each one of those. We know it's perception data, so really it's based off of the people taking it and how they're feeling and how they're going to answer, but it is data. The first one for students, this question really stuck out. I really feel like part of my school's community. So the goal is to get 40% or higher. For staff, my school is cooperative and team-oriented. The goal is to get 32% or higher. And for families, I feel engaged with my school. The goal is 43% or higher. And the summary of actions, SB Nunez is our Parent Outreach and Education Coordinator, and she's going to continue to provide support to our families, whether it's translation, help with Google Classroom, help with Aries. Sometimes we have families who show up and they have no idea how to navigate Aries or what Google Classroom is. So we talk about these in ELAC, and then in ELAC we actually make referrals there. Say, hey, if you need SB's right here, she can make it. She can meet with you, coach you, so that you understand how these work. Otherwise, it's another barrier for many of our families. Student voice, I feel like we've done a really great job this year with developing new teams of student voice. Our AP, Mr. Weller, has created a attendance team of students who are giving him feedback on policy, on the actual rules that we have in our handbook, and are they working, are they not working? And so he's collecting that voice and meets with them once a month, especially regarding attendance and the impact of attendance and the policy around it. I meet with a group of students. It's called Student Senate, and this group of students was nominated. Every club nominates one person. And so they've been nominated, and they meet with me once a month. And really, there's no agenda. It's just, how do we collect student voice? And it's a place for me to bring things to them, to ask questions, and they can bring things to me. One of the things I noticed right away in our first meeting is they are really looking, they would love to have some chargers, extra chargers for their Chromebooks available in classes. Sometimes they forget them, they're not there. I guess it's a real thing. So it's a thing. And when I went, that's the first thing they brought up. And when I went and asked another student right away, it's a true thing. So to my surprise, I had no idea. I also meet with leadership every other week. And so at 8 a.m., that's when I go and I meet with our leadership class. They have a 0 period, and they have about 20 questions that they probably want to ask, and that show up, and they're always looking happy, and I just answer their questions. So again, another place to collect student voice. Another thing that I do is I walk around campus at break and lunch, and I look for students who historically aren't nominated to these types of groups, who kind of are out in the corners. They're usually not fully engaged, and I just pick their brain. And we do simple things like open the gym and invite them in to play basketball, throw the football. And in between those sessions, I just ask them questions and see how they're doing. So I'm collecting feedback from them as well. We also have a plan to decrease our suspension rate. And so that's something that we are looking at. We have numbers from last year. We would love to decrease them, especially for our students with disabilities, our students who come from disadvantaged backgrounds, and our English language learner students. Because again, throughout the state, these students are overly suspended. So we are looking at these numbers and setting goals, and we want to decrease those numbers. And already, actually, we see a difference this year in just less suspensions so far, and really less referrals to the office. And our office staff make these comments like, hey, what's going on? I don't know, there's less students coming in. They're the ones who see them. So yes, I know. Every time I tell that story, they're like, you better knock on wood. And I always, it's really quiet right now. What are you guys doing? They're like, you better knock on wood. So we have goals around that. Again, the early warning system is going to help us address some of these goals. And then staff and community. One of my own personal goals, it happens to kind of align with this one, is to improve the culture and the sense of belongingness at Healdsburg High School with our staff. I have a deep belief that if we can get our staff to a place where they feel valued, they feel heard, they feel like they belong at Healdsburg High School, they're going to be more equipped and prepared to teach our students. So it's my job really to take care of our teachers and our staff so that they can do their job and take care of our students. So we've done a couple things this year already. We had sort of a staff luncheon where we provided some sandwiches to staff, and they were really thankful for that. We've been listening to them for our professional development days and just surveying them. What would they like to see? If you're going to be here for a day, what would you like to sit through and kind of learn about? And so we took some of their comments, their advice, and we had I thought a pretty good first PD day, or I guess it would be not counting the August PD, but counting the just recently on Monday, we had a PD that day that had options for teachers. We had overt training that was provided by the district, and then options for other teachers to teach other teachers with different strategies for the classroom, which was great. So their voices were heard, I thought. All right, I think that's all I have. Wait, that's all I have for HHS.
Can I just make a comment? Because I'm going to hit the numbers. I don't know what the current numbers are, so it's hard to say these numbers are great. It would be good to know where we are and where we're going. I'm just looking at AG rate, 65% plus. I don't know what it is, and you don't have to tell me tonight, but it would be nice to have that information. I do have one question. On goal 1, where you have academic indicators, math and ELA, goal 3+ point increase. I don't know what it is, and unless it's at 90, whatever, I think 3 points is too low.
Which
one?
Talking about CASP.
CASP.
CASP. It's on your first.
Okay. I'm just saying.
3+
I think
increase.
that's like.
Yeah. Okay. Yes,
Yeah.
I totally understand. The way I understand those CASP measures and how they're scored is they're scored in different categories, and I believe, for example, and it's in the full document of the actual SIP, so it's hard, it's a long document, but one of them reads 14 points above standard. So if we can increase those points
to 17 points above,
3 to 5.
Okay.
Right. But I can look further into that just to be clear.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I do think all the baseline data is in the longer SIPSA document in the board packet. So
I think you're right, and I didn't get through it.
yeah, it's all good.
It's huge. It's a huge document. Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Francisco. I think these are, again, I'm so impressed with the goals, and you're brand new and Nicole's new. I mean, there's a lot of new leadership in the district, and I just am so happy to see the commitment and the creativity and the everything, professionalism, everything. It's so impressive. And I feel like on my side really aligns with what the board was wanting and dreaming and hoping about back in the lockdown days, that we would have this kind of forward movement and continuity, coming out. So it's really thrilling to hear all this.
Thank you. As you know, Marcy Becerra Academy is also part of the secondary site where we're at. And so this is the plan for Marcy. It's the SIPSA for them. Okay. So similar form of presentation, formatting. These are the 3 goals against rigor, relevance, and relationships. This is just a summary. For the first goal, our goal is to maintain the graduation rate to be 90% or higher. And so if on the left-hand side, you have the metrics and then the actual actions. So 2022, we had 100%. I know our goal says 90% or higher, but I think we can increase that. We really should be shooting for 100 if we got 100 last time, right? 2 years ago. So yes. So the way Marcy is really set to be structured is through a big picture learning model. And that involves individual learning plans with every single student. And I've been in the classrooms watching our 2 teachers help our Marcy students. And they literally, it's a one-on-one coaching advisory. They go through their goals, go through their learning plans. They have a whiteboard that everything's, it's for everybody to see so they can see where every kid's at. And if they're missing something, they're coaching our students in how to make phone calls, how to make professional phone calls, how to answer the phone, how to introduce themselves as they're working on their internships. But it's really internship based and student driven. What's the interest of the student, and then from there, their learning plans are developed. And so it's just like one-on-one education with each student, which is great. And they're recovering credits. As you know, they need more credits so that they can graduate on time with their class. And so these are done through internships. I was able to visit one student's internship at the library at HES, I believe. And the student was working with a librarian, and she was getting coaching one-on-one from her mentor. And then her teacher came in, and I was with the teacher, and then they were giving her tips as well. And I got to see this happen in front of me. And it was great because it was a student who, typically was shy, but I saw her in her element, and she just kind of came out of her shell. So again, beautiful to see. Communication with parents. We'll continue to communicate with parents. Our 2 Marcy teachers do a really great job. In many meetings I've been, they're always praised as how much communication they have and how much they love them. And and this is just coming from the parents. So I know they're doing something right. So I want to praise those 2 teachers, Mr. Tortop and Michael Freddy Veras. Goal 2 is to increase student engagement by monitoring attendance and youth truth data. So on the left-hand side, we would like to have a 90 to 95% attendance rate for our students. And then for one of the questions for youth truth, we would like to see an increase in the overall engagement category for the Youth Truth Survey. For the actions, we have, again, communication, and it's clear from what I'm observing and seeing and hearing from parents. This year, they are focusing actually on attendance to make sure that students are coming, and what's happening if you miss class, right? How do we make up that time? And then increasing the student's sense of connectedness and positive attitude towards school, regular check-ins with their teacher, their counselor, administration, positive conflict resolution instead of punitive punishments. So they do a lot of this just on the fly. Really, they're working with the students, and something might happen, and they intervene right away, and they try to help the students. So they're very swift with how they operate, our 2 teachers. And then coordination of services and support. Again, monitoring their data. There's outside agencies that help our students, like keeping kids in school, and possibly SARB meetings if we have to go that route to get the students' attention. And I just want to say again, the early warning system, we also have it for Marcy. So not just HHS students. And goal 3, to increase preparedness for college and career by transforming the curricular program into a big picture model school. So this year, actually, I'm going to be visiting a conference that's going to give me some training on leadership around the big picture model, which is going to be great because coming in, I felt like I knew like this much about it. So I need some training, and I know that our assistant principal has received some training as well, or will be. And every year, our 2 teachers receive more and more training on big picture model. So it's a continuous improvement. The summary of actions to continue that process. You know, it's the model that we use at Marcy. So I'm excited to continue working with those 2 educators and with the students. And I've spoken at their graduations twice. And a great group of families, great group of kids. It's amazing, even if sometimes they don't get along on campus, that for school and events such as graduation, they put everything to the side, which is nice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Francisco.
Can I make a quick comment to all of you? You guys do great work, and I really appreciate it. I look forward to seeing the end result, come June or whatever, or even next year. It's really exciting to hear your excitement, your enthusiasm, so thank you. And please thank your staff as well.
Okay, moving on to reports. Do we have a report?
Good evening. So my report is kind of short. CASP testing is pretty amazing at Fitch Mountain. The scores at Healdsburg Junior High have increased. The information coming from the high school, the graduation rate A through G is amazing. The teachers are working hard, and teachers are also struggling. They're struggling with high prices for everything. Most teachers commute to Healdsburg because they can't afford to live here. Some of the teachers that work in my site had to move back home with their parents, and they're commuting great distances just to make it. Gas prices are very, very high. Insurance premiums keep increasing. I'm not sure if you're aware of the Delta Dental. The insurance is paying less and less, and some of the local dentists here in town no longer accept it. So how it works is that you go to the dentist, you have some work done. You have to pay right away. And then at some point, Delta Dental will reimburse the teachers back. So we are waiting to finish last year's negotiations date, and our new date is on, so this is negotiations from last year that didn't get finished, and our date is on November 7th. So we are looking for a raise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
Do we have a CSEA report?
I don't think we have a CSEA employee in. Nope.
Tom, you're probably not. Are you ready to trustee report? Student trustee report? Excellent.
Thomas, you're up.
Would you like me to do it from here or up there?
Why don't you do it from, we usually have the student trustee go up there to present, so. Yeah. Taking the bull by the horns, yeah.
So normally I would have a report for each school within the Healdsburg Unified School District. This month, being this is my first meeting, some things were scrambled, and I only have a full report from the high school. But in the future, I will have a report from each of the schools, and I'll be meeting with them outside to make sure that you guys have a full scope of actually what the students are doing. From the high school this month, first of all, we have 3 new clubs this year, adding on to, I believe it's more than 12 clubs. It's somewhere up there. There's a lot of clubs, and the students are really excited to be starting them. So 3, I believe last year we only had 1 new club. So it's, we're doing good on the club side. There's a lot of involvement, and they're already starting to roll into events. I know almost all the clubs have had at least 1 or 2 meetings already in the school year. FFA in particular, the Future Farmers of America Club. We had a competition today, our first speaking competition, and 2 of our teams placed, and no individuals placed. But going forward, this is our first one, and I believe FFA overall has about 20 to 30 speaking competitions alone, and then there's also CTE competitions with welding and horse judging and those specifics. So all the clubs are off to a great start. One thing that was brought up to mention was the cheer team. First year back for the cheer team, there is a lot of involvement. There's quite a few members, and they've been at almost every football game, I believe, every home game at least. And they're learning new cheers every single time. There was a wonderful one at homecoming, and so it's been a great start off back for them. And then obviously we have football and tennis going on as well. So, any questions about the high school students?
No. Awesome. Thank you so much, Thomas.
Thanks, Thomas. All right. Do we have any board reports?
If it pleases the board, I think the rest of the agenda should go fairly quickly. We could go without a break.
Yeah, let's skip the break.
All right.
Oh, I did want to mention that members of the H8 of the world famous Greyhound Band went to Camp Kaz again this past month. Or was it this month? A few weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
I was there. I can't remember what day it was, but anyway, it was amazing, and the high school students were terrific mentors, and it's such a beautiful and magical place, and I think super fun for the band. And then I'm always just blown away at what they can learn in 2 days, especially when they spend a lot of the time having fun and goofing off and working really hard. So,
and enrollment in junior high band has ballooned.
Yes,
it's a very positive
40.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. 45 students in the concert band. So I think that's all I have for. We're on to 11.2 school business. Change order number 1 for Healdsburg High School classroom modernization project.
Excuse me, is this where the superintendent releases the administrative staff and the teachers?
Oh, right. Sorry.
Even though there's no break, you don't have to stay.
Thank you all very much.
And thank you for your presentations.
Good evening. I'm bringing forward change order 1 for the high school classroom modernization project. This project, which I think you're all aware of, but I'll just summarize it. It started the last day of school last year, and it finished like 10 days before school started this year. For the amount of work that was done, and I've been involved in school facilities for 15 years, I've never seen a project go so smoothly. It went really smoothly. This change order is a savings of $637,000. Our full contingency is coming back. There was no unforeseen problems, and it's credit. It's money back in our pocket to go towards the next phase of the high school.
This is like never happens, right?
Yeah.
Where it finished early, an amazing amount of work in a small amount of time, and way under budget.
Yeah.
So
and the staff came back smiling. They were happy. They really appreciated it, all of it. It made me feel good, really good. It was nice. So it is an action item to keep the money.
Oh.
Not
Would anyone like to make a motion to keep the money?
I'll go ahead as my first motion to move to approve that.
Do I have a second? Awesome. All in favor? Aye.
And Thomas is in the notes. Way to get in the minutes.
Excellent. Okay, we're on to 11.2B, notice of completion for the Healdsburg High School classroom modernization project.
So this is the official notice of completion for the project. The date was September 1st. Approving this item starts the 35-day period where we can release the retention that we're holding on the project.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much, Debbie.
Thank you.
We love good news.
$500,000.
And then we're moving on to 11.3A, the new job description for the Wellness Outreach Specialist.
Okay, that's me. Hi, everybody. Hi, Karen. Okay. So this is a new job description. This is a first reading of new job description for the Wellness Outreach Specialist. And as you know that, let's see, let me get to the right one here. The Wellness Center opened at the high school this year. And Kimberly Harris, I think she presented, was it last month? Yeah. So she presented, and she is our mental health specialist, but she is also our wellness outreach coordinator there at the high school. And so this position would be an assistant there at the center. And so she would assist they would assist at the center with supporting and greeting and scheduling appointments and assist with documentation. So this is a first reading, and with your approval, we could bring this back for an action item next month.
And it is part of the model of wellness centers that we applied for through the grant, so it's a required position. So
and I do have to
paid for.
I do have to say on the cover sheet, the fiscal impact, it should say grant funded. That is an error on my part. I was supposed to add that, and I left that off.
It does bear, you'll note in the job description, there is some outreach that the person would do. And so it's not just simply a receptionist or clerical type job. It requires a different skill set. So when we bring it back to you, it will reflect a pay grade that reflects that diversity of skills.
And if you have any specific questions, Diane, of course, can answer them if it has anything related to the Wellness Center.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Karen about this position?
Is there a particular reason why bilingual was not included in the first draft reading for this position, given the demographics of our school district?
It actually should be added. It should be
bilingual required. Yeah.
Yeah, should be added.
That's a very good point.
Thank you. And I'll add that to it right now.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
And we will put it in the title so it's noticeable to all, right?
Just, I mean, there's like
To
the
actually-
outreach portion attached to this position as well.
So you want to add it into the title, Chris?
Yeah, I think it should be a bilingual wellness center
Okay.
outreach specialist. Yes, given the student demographics at the school.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will definitely add that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we will 11.3B, new job description for administrative analyst fiscal services.
Yes. Just one moment while I make this note. All right. So this next position is the administrative analyst fiscal services. So this position would actually take the place of a position that's currently in the business services department. So right now we have a position, administrative assistant to the business services department. And so this position would be a replacement for that. And so it would be a similar position, but this position would take on more accounting level duties. that would fit more of a business services department. So if you read the cover sheet, and actually the summary of the job description, it not only would do administrative support duties, but it would also cover accounting level duties pertaining to the operations of the business department. And so if you were to research the districts throughout Sonoma County, there's various different type of these types of positions. Some have administrative analysts, some have administrative assistants, and then some have some confidential positions. But this, we feel, would be a better fit for our business services department.
So essentially, an assistant to the director with specialized business skills.
Some specialized skills, yeah. And we are taking the opportunity. We have a resignation in the current position for administrative assistant, which is a huge loss to the district. Daniela Corona is amazing and is leaving us, unfortunately. And so we're taking the opportunity to revamp the position and get somebody who has a few more business accounting type skills.
So again, this is the first reading, and we would bring it back if it's suitable for you next month as an action item.
Okay, thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Do we have any Board of Trustee reports, comments, requests for information?
All right.
Okay, well, we will not be recessing back to closed session. Our next regular board meeting, were you going to add something?
No.
Okay.
Yep.
Our next regular board meeting is Wednesday, November 15th here at City Hall. Be there or be square. And the deadlines to submit agenda items are Monday, November 6th, to have a completed agenda request form, and Wednesday, November 8th, all backup materials will be due. Okay, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.